Okay, I'll start. Ever since I was little, I would kind of see things in the dark. Now, there's a few things that I'll see. First of all, there's orbs. And unfortunately, I didn't have enough time to like fix up these kind of drawings, but there's these orbs that will fly around, and usually they're a good sign. They're usually like helpful spirits. They'll guide you in good paths. So they're usually like white and they just kind of float around. But other ones are dark figures. And whoops. So dark figures, they're kind of the evil spirits, and they kind of like to screw with you. They kind of like to mess with your head. They can turn into anything that you find scary. So if you're afraid of spiders, they'll turn into that. If you're like, when I was little, I used to see like hands coming out of the wall, and I thought, well, that cannot be real, but they knew that that would kind of scare me. There's also light figures, and they could either be in the shape of a person or just a shape of a kind of a blob. So sometimes when I'll wake up, I'll look around the room and there's all these dark figures standing around, and these light figures will come to my side, and I guess they're trying to comfort me, but it still kind of freaks me out. But usually light figures are a good sign. So this is just kind of an introduction of things I see, and then I'll get into like specific stories, starting with the funniest ones to kind of the more scary ones. Dark figures can also come in the form of faces. So sometimes if I'm laying there and I look to the side to like a wall or a dresser, someone's face will just kind of pop out and just be staring at me. Now, all these things, they don't happen for too long. And when you're used to seeing these things, they just get a little annoying. But the ones I'm going to talk about are a little more specific. So these are the kinds of things I've seen. And let's just get into the stories. Let's talk about the hand ghost. So this happened, I think it was about 2 weeks ago. I was laying on my bed, just on my phone, scrolling through Twitter, and I started feeling a presence that was going around my bed. Like, it would just kind of circle around my bed. I don't know if it was walking on my bed. It kind of felt like it was walking through it. It would just kind of circle around while I was on my phone, and I was, a little peeved, but I didn't see anything, so I'm like, well, I can't really complain about it. And after a few times of it circling, all of a sudden, I felt something a little strange. Someone's hand started to go on my hand. And it was a little odd. They started kind of caressing my hand. And after seeing, a bunch of scary stuff before, like, this was kind of funny to me. But I still wanted it to, like, leave me alone. And I have a friend that sees stuff too, and she basically will take sage and just go around the room and kind of like burn sage. And so after a few this happened for like 3 nights. This ghost was just circle around my bed and then come to my right hand and just start like caressing it. I don't know if it had like a hand fetish or something, but so my roommate came in and used some sage and like started burning it across the room, and once she got to my bed, like, her hand started freaking out. Like, it started shaking all over the place. But after she did that, it went away. And I'm kind of glad it did, because it was a little annoying, but a little funny. So that was the hand ghost. Surprise. Okay, so one night I was at my parents' house, and it's kind of nice to be at my parents' house because I don't see as many things, because my dad has like put like a priesthood blessing on the whole house and kind of stuff. But one night, I saw something a little strange. There was this white guy just kind of standing there, and he was pretty old, and I just kind of looked up at him and just kind of stared at him, and then I said hi, and after me saying hi, he kind of like freaked out, like he didn't know that like he could be seen, and so he kind of did like this like jolting back motion, like ah! So I kind of scared him, which was really funny. But then he decided to go over to my sister, and I didn't know how I felt about this. He just kind of like moved in towards her and just was staring at her, and before he went away, he decided to look back at me, and then he just faded away. So I didn't get like any malicious intent from this guy, but I thought it was just funny how I'm the one that scared him. So yeah, that was kind of funny. So third story, grow. So this one, so we're moving a little away from the silly ones to the more kind of creepy ones, I guess. I hate this one. So one night, I was in my college apartment, the apartment that I live in right now, and I was woken up by a presence, and I didn't know where it was, and I just immediately saw this little kid figure just standing at the edge of my bed, and it just like was standing there. And at this point I was kind of annoyed by seeing all these, dark figures, and I'm like, oh, you're so generic. Like, if I had a shoe, I would have thrown the shoe at it, because I yelled at it. I was like, go away. And then I think it got a little angry because it grew like 10 feet, and it kept growing and growing, and I was just like, nope. And it just stood there and watched me until eventually it faded away. But yeah. Okay, so I guess that one was a little funny because I wanted to like throw a shoe at it, and I can't believe I yelled at it, like, just go away. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I was a little spooked for the next few days because I just don't like when things are next to my bed. Oh, and if you haven't seen my haunted video before, like, I talk a little bit about other experiences in that one. Oh, man. Okay, this one, the laughing ghost. This one's a little more scary because at this time I was really depressed. Like, I was really upset that I was alive, and there was a lot of things going on, and I wasn't depressed because of YouTube comments or anything silly like that. Like, my life was just not going in a good direction, and oh man, there was just a certain thing that happened that I was just like, I am so done with life. Like, I want to die and all this stuff, and I was taking all my anger out on my family, and I didn't mean it. I didn't have any way to like express these emotions. And so I was really depressed, and I didn't want to eat dinner with my family, so I decided to go to bed, and it's in their house again. So I went upstairs, got in my bed, and I was just like, I'm so angry, I'm so edgy, and typical being in depression, but whatever. So I was just laying there, and I was having a hard time falling asleep because I was just so angry. And I eventually started to fall asleep, and I started to hear some people talking. Now, when I'm in my parents' house, like, I sleep with a sister in my room. So I'm used to little kids running in and out of the house, basically saying like, shh, don't wake Shannon. She won't wake up if we talk like this. And it's like, bruh, I can hear you. Like, don't do that. So I started hearing people talking, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're in the room. This is so annoying. I'm so tired of everything. I don't want to hear anything. But then it was like someone was laughing. And so this person just kept laughing, you know, just like that, like over and over and over. And the second voice says to the first one, what are you laughing at? And the ghost says, the girl lying there. Oof. And so basically, after he says the girl lying there, all of a sudden, I start to feel it touch me, and it like just slowly poked into my side. And I didn't know what to do. I thought the little kids were in there playing in my room, laughing at me for some reason, and I like jolted up, and no one was in the room. So whatever was in there was laughing at me. And it was really weird because like the poke, it wasn't really hard, it was just really soft, and it just kept going and going till I jolted up. And I ran downstairs and I told my family, and I think from then on I knew I needed to like change my life because it wasn't going in a good direction. And yeah, but there's a reason why I don't draw myself in this shirt anymore. Because at that time I was not doing so well, but that's not me anymore, so you don't have to worry about that. But man, when something touches you and they're not in the room, I think also the fact that they just said the girl lying there was also just oof. Alright. Oh, dang. I forgot I put this one in there. Okay. So this one happened to me 4 days ago. And I don't know if you can hear like the fear in my voice. Sorry, this one's like still fresh, so sometimes they like really scare me. But basically, I was in my college apartment again. This was 4 days ago. And I was feeling a presence during the night, but I usually tell myself, oh, it's nothing, nothing's happening. But that wasn't the case, because when I closed my eyes and at like, I don't know, 1 a.m., whatever, they always happen at like the same time, I opened my eyes only to see these piercing eyes staring at me, and this face like almost next to the ceiling, like it was so above me, but it felt so close. And at first all I saw were his eyes, but slowly and surely it turned into a face. And he wasn't like that bad looking of a person, but he was just staring at me. He kind of looked like your stereotypical like magician looking kind of face, but I had never seen a dark figure with such a clear face before. And basically in my left ear, all I could hear was, are you human? And so I stared looking at this guy, and he asked me, are you human? And I didn't know what to do. And he just like is looking at me with this really creepy grin on his face. And then he winks at me. And then he like flies across the room, still looking at me. He moves towards the door, still staring at me with those creepy eyes. And then he just fades away. Now, I think this one is probably the scariest one that's happened to me because of the fact that he said, "Are you human?" I have never heard, like, something so scary, like, and I didn't even know how to process that. I just kind of, like, I don't know if you've ever been in something scary and just kind of hold your breath. That was me, like, the entire time. And, so I was really, like, I was so distraught after that, but I just can't get those words out of my mind, like, "Are you human?" Okay, so this last one, was the most intense one I've ever had. So usually I'll just, see spirits and whatever, and it's fine. But this one, man, this one. Sorry, I'm like tearing up. Oh yeah, the one before, some people are asking, like, I've never seen that guy's face before, so he wasn't recognizable, but yeah, that's... Also, I felt like it was, like, flirting with me, with that wink, so I was a little, like, annoyed? I don't know. That was a funny bit of that, but... So this last one is about VidCon, and, unfortunately, this happened at VidCon, and All Right was there with me, too, so... We were in our hotel room, and the first day of VidCon had ended. And we were all exhausted, lying on our beds, and... Oh, man. And going to a new place, I never really expect to see anything, because I feel like that should be just... Usually it takes like a week before I start seeing things in different places, but in this hotel room, that was not the case. So me and All Right just got in our beds and started going to sleep. And literally like 30 minutes into me sleeping, I start feeling a presence once again, and I shut my eyes, and by the time I open them, there's just this person. My body has been lifted up slightly, and this person was holding the covers, and all I could feel was such malicious intent, like this guy was gonna strangle me. I was screaming before I even knew what I was screaming about, like somehow my soul knew what was going on before I did, because by the time I opened my eyes, I was screaming bloody murder. And I have never done that in my entire life. And poor All Right was just like freaking out. And I was like clawing at this thing with my hands, like screaming at it. I'm surprised like we didn't get called for a noise complaint because of how like hysterical I was. But luckily All Right was there, because if he wasn't there, I probably wouldn't want to be in that hotel, because he was able to calm me down. But yeah, this guy, all I could hear from this guy was like he was gonna strangle me. And then, like the others, they just kind of disappear. But yeah, so the next day of VidCon, I was just so distraught. And, yeah. Gosh dang. But usually I'll see more things when people that are around me are into doing bad things. I believe in possession, because spirits, like, they exist. Not all of them are scary, but there's a lot that are. The VidCon one, I had to go home and ask my dad for a priesthood blessing, because I couldn't sleep. Like, every little noise, I thought I was gonna die, actually. But, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed these spooky stories. Dang. Some of these, man. Yeah. So it's called the gift of discernment, and basically I see things that are through the veil. So you can believe me or you cannot, it's fine, but these things are real. I'm not gonna lie to you and pretend that these aren't, because they are very real. Now, spirits cannot harm you if you don't let them. I swear, this is like, where is it? Wait, wake up, come on. Yeah, this is like the scariest thing I drew. But yeah, so spirits, they can't harm you unless you invite them to. So every time I see someone playing with a Ouija board or anything of that sort, I'm just like, no, you can't do that, because they basically, so you can skip this part if you want, but it's kind of like a religious part. It's kind of how I base around my beliefs on this kind of stuff. Basically, these spirits are like Satan's followers. So before we came to Earth, there was like Jesus' plan and Satan's plan, and 1/3 of the people in heaven followed Satan, and now because they don't have bodies and they never will, they come on this earth and they haunt and torture people here. So if you let them, they will possess you. They will, like, because they're so jealous that you can move around and have your own body and, you know, progress, that they just hate you. So this has been my experiences. I asked you guys to share me some of yours, so I guess I can start reading those up next. But, goodness, I don't know why I'm doing this. But, yeah, I guess I'll start reading you guys' scary stories, since those are like the 6 main ones I have. Because other ones, I'll just see a dark figure and it'll disappear, or I'll see a light figure come towards me and I assume it's trying to protect me, I don't know. But I guess I'll start reading yours. Let me just put on this screen so it's a little bit more visually interesting. Okay. Alright, so here's one from Kisukun, and it says, "My friends and I were at a sleepover when I started to feel paranoid. I wasn't sure what it was, so I just shrugged it off. We continued as normal until I looked outside and saw the silhouette of a man. I closed the curtains quickly and peeked back out. He was gone." So I'm sure you probably saw a dark figure as well. They're all over the place. This one is from It's Frosty 585. "Went downstairs one night because I heard some spooky noises, like moaning and groaning. I saw nothing, so I went back upstairs. I closed my door when I got into my room and heard a knocking at my door. I opened the door and no one was there. I turned and a Kit Kat bar appeared on my bed. I don't know how it got there, but I think my grandma was like, 'You have been a good child, taste my ghost candy.'" What? So yeah, funny and spooky. So that was Frosty 585. That's pretty hilarious. Is there like a tooth fairy but for Kit Kats? I would love that. Alright, next one. This is from Aaron Deers. "When I was 6 years old, my mom was married to a man who called himself Bubba. After I turned 10, my mom left him. He had an ex-wife before my mom and a son. 3 doors down from our house, his mom lived there alone. This is important later. At the age of 11, we moved out of our house closer to my high school on the other side of town. In high school, cops came knocking at our door. This was when I was about 16, 2 nights before Bubba had gotten super drunk and killed his ex-wife by shooting her in the head. Later that night, he went to his mom's house and did the same. My mom and I were freaked out, but more often so the fact that he broke into our old house looking for us. Good thing my mom lost touch with him because the cops were sure if we lived there or that he knew where we lived, we'd be dead. They didn't catch him for another 3 days. He's now in prison where he had killed one of his cellmates. I think about it a lot. Gosh dang. That was a little too real. Alright. This is by Thomas R. When I was a little child, I was heading to bed one night. I did my normal routine, shower, teeth, the usual. I fell asleep with relative ease. But then I woke up. It must have been 4 a.m. I peeked out from my covers and peered around the room. I looked into the room diagonal of mine, the office, and saw something. It was a big, burly man, probably 6'5", with a big beard and muscles. He almost looked like a lumberjack, which was fitting because he had an axe. He was also just a shadow person. We looked at each other. It wasn't sleep paralysis because I could move. I saw him walk toward me. Oh no! My heart was failing to beat. I flung myself under the covers and just lied there. I never saw him again. There were other paranormal experiences in this house, but this was the scariest. That kind of reminds me of the guy that I saw in my haunted video that was like standing at my door. He was just like, he looked like a lumberjack too. I think it's like a normal persona they take on. I don't know why. So we start this story with me sleeping, and I was dreaming something not so happy. I was dreaming of my room with a weird hole in the wall below my desk. It wasn't a big deal for me, but I was wondering what is inside there because there was some creepy noises on there, but one time I saw what was making all those weird noises. A creepy mask with glowing eyes and smiling at me. No. And from there it never stopped. It would show itself as it entered my room, and from there I woke up at 3 a.m. seeing that the computer was turning on. And this was all real and happened some time ago. Yeah, you probably... It's probably the same, like, thing that's just annoying you. Like, they just love... They love to make you feel uncomfortable, so they'll do it any way they can. So when I was about 10 years old... wait, no, they didn't say their name, sorry. So when I was about 10 years old, I used to live in this house that was on top of a hill. One day I was playing hide and seek with my brother, and I went to the basement of my house and hid behind the stairs. Suddenly, I heard loud thuds and something breaking next to me. I knew it couldn't be my brother because I heard him upstairs still searching. Suddenly, the air around me got super hot, like a burning stove. Oh no. And usually my basement is ice cold, so in a panic, I ran upstairs and shut the door. The next day, my father has seen the items that were broken and asked what happened, so I explained to him that it wasn't my fault, and he believed me because it also happened to him the past week when a light bulb shattered above him, and he thought he heard a loud banging and a call for help. It turns out that my old house used to be where slaves used to be tortured and badly hurt back in the day, but I believe it was spirits of those who were killed and tortured back then. And that was from Max DeHusky. That's kind of scary. Let's see. So this is from B&W Jester. My neighbor's mother died, and we had the funeral and everything the next day. My mother remembered that she saw a crow, devil's bird also means that somebody is about to die, and had a nightmare that my mother was walking down some staircases with stitches in her eyes and mouth and waving goodbye. Oh, that sounds kind of scary. My mother told me that her cousin and his friends, when they were younger, played around with the Ouija board. No. And said that an evil spirit, devil-like, showed up. All of the boys, including my mother's cousin, ran as fast as they could and slept with their parents for a few weeks. But each day, they used to get this terrifying nightmare of that spirit. Alright, I'm gonna read one more and then finish off with a few other small stories, I guess. A while ago, like 2 weeks, I went out to the store for my mom. And hallway down the block, I noticed a guy in all black walking in my direction. I thought nothing of it because I thought he was just walking to someplace. So I walked past him and he kind of bumped into me. I thought that was weird, but I didn't think too much of it. I turned the block, but before turning, I looked back to see if he was still there. he was, but he was walking in my direction. That's when I started to speed walk. I only needed to go 3 more blocks, then I'm at the store. About 1 minute later, I heard footsteps behind me, and they were coming in fast. I started to run as fast as my 12-year-old legs would run, and then I felt him grab my arm. This wasn't a busy street, so I panicked. I couldn't scream. I didn't know why, but I couldn't, so I kept kicking and hitting him as hard as I could until he fell to the ground. I quickly ran to the store and told the guy there. He looked outside and he saw no one. I grabbed what I needed and asked him to walk me home. He did, and I told my mom. I haven't seen the guy since, but I always bring my mom with me to the store now. And that was from Lori Draws. Gosh dang. You guys have some pretty spooky stories, not gonna lie. Oh, goodness. Gosh dang. So I don't really care if you guys believe any of my stories or not. They're just things I've experienced. That's why I made this into a live stream, because I feel like if I made it into a YouTube video, people would just tell me that I was lying or, whatever. So I just figured a live stream would be a little more fun to talk about it. But I just hope I stop seeing stuff. And I don't know, do you guys want me to keep talking more? I mean, I've seen like other things, like I've seen children. I haven't seen many women. That's interesting. But I've seen little children, but like they usually just stand at the door. I don't know if they're like guardian angels or something, but like there's like a difference you can feel with each spirit, like how they're feeling. You can either feel meh or I want to kill you. The winky guy was probably the most trippiest one because he felt so human to me, and the fact that he asked me, "Are you human?" was even scarier, so I don't know. Oof. Keep talking more? Okay, so maybe I'll just kind of reiterate some of the old stories that I put in my haunted video. So I don't think I talked about how when my parents moved into their first house, well, not their first house, but the one in California. Sorry, the music was getting really loud. I couldn't hear myself think. But so when they first moved into that house in California, my mom had everything set up in the house. And she had a kitchen, and next to the kitchen was like kind of a dining area. We don't really use it too much. And she had put like all of her china, all of her nice little statues there, of whatever, the little angel statue kind of thing, or the plates, the nice china. And every day she would look out, and she would like be cooking on the stove, and there would be this lady in like a white gown with really dark hair just walk across that room, walk across to the china cabinet every single day. And she didn't know what to do, and eventually she had someone come over and, bless the house to stop it, because like, dang. But yeah, my dad has also seen a few things. Like, he's seen the Hat Man. One night they were just laying in bed, and he woke up to the presence, and he saw this guy wearing a hat at the edge of my parents' bed, and he started yelling at it to like go away and all this thing, and my mom was like, "What are you looking at?" kind of thing. And hi, Juan. Is that what you wanted? Freaking comments. Yeah, but then there was also my grandma. I never really got to meet her, but apparently before she died, she had ovarian cancer. So before she died, she was getting really close, and she would just be sitting there in a room, and everyone was just kind of doing their own thing, and she would say to my mom, like, can you tell those people in the other room to be quiet? And my mom would be like, what do you mean? She's like, well, they're so loud, they're all talking in there and having a good time. And she would walk into the other room and no one was there. And it's just things like that that make me think, you know, a lot of people want to call me like schizophrenic or whatever, because they call me that when I made the haunted video. But if I was schizophrenic, I'd be seeing like pencils dancing across the room, or chairs moving, but I don't see that. I see very humanoid looking things. Other than when I was a little kid, I used to see like hands coming out of the wall. But even that's still human parts. Like, it's not... Yeah. Goodness. But yeah, so... I used to be interested in very scary things like, you know, the dolls and stuff, like real objects. But after hearing stories of people, and recently one of my friends was like haunted by a doll from Mexico, like all of his drawers and cabinets and windows were open and they had to like get rid of like this haunting or whatever. I'm like, nope, keep me away from that stuff. I don't want that. I've never watched any scary movies in my entire life. Like, I just don't want to, because I already deal with this stuff. So I mean, it's funny because I don't really have nightmares, because I'll be like dreaming about, you know, haunted houses sometimes, but my brain doesn't know what to fill in for the scary part, so there's usually nothing. But then I'll see these things, these spirits or whatever, and I'll be like, ugh. But at this point, they're just like a nuisance. Although some of them, the ones that talk to me are probably the scariest. I still can't get over, are you human? Oh my gosh. Who are you gonna call? Oh man. So I guess I can end the stream now. Well, let me see. Let me see if I think a few more people sent me in some shout out ghost stories. Let me see. And I don't want to like make this go on for too long because I know you guys have school tomorrow. Okay, so this one is from Butterfly Latte. When I was 12, my military father brought me some dolls from overseas. Wooden carved dolls. No paint, just brown and polished wood. This is important. I set them on a shelf by my doorbed so they wouldn't be broken. One night, I woke up thirsty. Don't we all? I got out of bed and made to go out when I saw something white in the corner of my eye. This was weird because my room was very dark, and the only white thing there was the walls. But when I looked, the white was on the doll's eyes. No. Those brown wooden dolls now had white eyes and large pupils, looking right at me across the small space between their shelf and my bed. And these dolls had huge eyes sculpted in, so I was not seeing things. I panicked and flicked on the light. The eyes looked normal again as the light came on, but I swore in that 1 second between dark and light, I saw their eyelids move down. Yeah, that's pretty trippy. You know what, that reminds me of, like, this doesn't have to do with dolls, but there's, like, another thing I should tell you guys. So, like, when I was younger, I used to have an old TV, like one of those small square TVs in my room. And every night at, like, midnight, something went on with, like, the cables. It would just, like, be electric and just turn on the TV by itself. So every time it turned on the TV by itself, it would always go to the same channel. And it was like a channel where they were doing like trials about murder and stuff. So I'd wake up hearing stuff about, you know, how this woman killed her husband and like all the gruesome details. It was like some courtroom channel. Didn't matter what channel you left it on. If you left it on SpongeBob, nope, we're going back to the murder channel. Like, what the frick? So I'd always go and have to like turn off the TV. And when I would do it, the screen would just turn white. And it would be like that for the next like 15 minutes. Oh my gosh. And it always freaked me out as a child. If you didn't turn off like the power plug or whatever, it would turn on like the same time every time. And goodness. No, don't cry. I don't want to make you guys cry. But yeah, I don't know why. But yeah, I guess on I guess I'll read the super chats before I go. Sorry I didn't read them before. Zenron says, "Hi, how's it going?" Z Winter Snokes says, "Nothing. What's up?" Symbol Game says, "Oh hi, sorry I can't stay. Stay awesome, and plus I can relate. I've seen things too." Yeah, I wish I didn't see things. It doesn't happen every night. That's the thing. That's why I think it's like an actual thing, because it doesn't happen every night, which makes sense because these are like living organisms that just kind of move around. Fred Fries says, "How do I become a member? A member of what?" Mr. Man, what's up, Mr. Man? Ocean Forest says, "Hugs for Sugar." The Gaming Penguin says, "Hi, Sugar. I love your videos and your art style too." And the Greater Gamer, he says, "Yeah." Oh goodness. So I guess I'll end this video. I'm really excited about my next storytime video. I know this last one wasn't probably wasn't that great. It was a very short concept, and sorry for the Fortnite ad. I just Verb canceled on me, so I mean, I didn't have anything. It was a moment of weakness, okay? Yeah, so I'm really excited about my next story time. It'll be really good, I promise. LG Wavy says, "Can you say I'm so spoopy?" There you go. Why you take my cookies? I don't know, man. I'm sorry, man. Maybe I'll make a video about these one day. I know most of you already know them, but if I have like other experiences, I'll add them in. Do you guys want me to read the other emails? I will, but it looks like there's like 18. That's kind of a lot. I guess I'll just ask in the chat. Do you guys want me to read the rest of them or just read a few? Okay, the thing about the Fortnite, I think it looks like a great game, okay? I'm not a gamer. I'm a little confused why they asked me to do it, but I need to make a living. I'm sorry, guys. I'll never do that again. Let's see. So yeah, you want me to read them? Okay, I'll read them. Oh, freaking 19. Okay, I'm gonna stop at 19. Okay, you can't just keep sending me stuff. Ew. Don't send me weird things, people. Come on, man. Don't be like that, man. Wait, what? Oh, okay, this one's a little long. Sorry, I'll have to look at it. Okay, here we go. So, Rising J, I think that's their name. I don't know. Rising J, I think. Oh yeah, okay, it is. I was really young, maybe around 5 or 6-ish, at my grandma and grandma's old house one day, in the summer and fall. I remember late that night, they weren't in the house. Might have been in the basement or temporarily went out, but the main thing was that they weren't anywhere that I can find easily. Before they left, they put on one of the Rugrats movies on VHS for me to watch in a guest bedroom with the lights off. After it ended, there was just white noise coming from the TV. Since I didn't know how to take a tape out or rewind or where the remote was, I sat there uncomfortably for a little while before I heard a beep from the living room. I got up to see what it was about, and I realized it was just the home phone. Someone was calling, but nobody was nearby to pick up. The person calling leaves a message, but it's incredibly hard to make out. It sounded like they were speaking in tongues. The last thing I did catch was, "Okay," before they hung up. Maybe not weird, but could be misremembering details, but it did seem odd. I didn't know what to do, and by that point, I already couldn't tell where any adults were. So I just went back to the bedroom with the static. I turned on the TV using the manual buttons, but I got a weird chill down my spine for no reason. I turned around to see a dark suited figure half standing by the doorway. I jumped in bed and hid under the covers for a bit before looking up. The figure was gone, and it didn't look like anyone who was in the house earlier. For a second, I thought I heard it speak the voice I'd heard on the voicemail. But again, it could be hearing I could have been hearing nonsense. Eventually, my grandma did come into the room, but never seemed to check the phone. I spoke to my grandma about it this past summer, but she said she never would have left me alone in the house, and that it wasn't likely that anyone was visiting, since it was a long drive for other relatives to make, and most were busy during that short time they were there. Ew, don't send me pictures, that's nasty. When I was 5 years old, I saw a lot of dark figures, but one day the dark figure was near me and went running to my parents' room. No! They were scared about me, so they brought me to a priest to bless me, and the priest was darkness. The priest was darkness? And someone in my family is trying to affect me. Until this day, I see the dark figures. Yeah, you need like a real priest. Or you could get sage and burn it. That'll keep them away too. Spiritual Warrior 21, I think that's their name. Fire Dragon XB. One night I woke up and saw a figure. I walked to him and he turned and ran at me. I ran fast and then I felt his arm. He stared at me. My heart was beating fast and I woke up. So it looks like that was like more of one of those dreams. Like all my experiences that I told you guys, I wasn't in sleep paralysis. I was awake. I could move around. I could speak. That's what makes it really scary. Edgy, the animist, I think? Edgy? I was around 8 years old. I used to share a room with my older siblings. However, there was one night they were not around, so I was alone in my room. I usually sleep without lights. However, while I was sleeping, the power suddenly went out. So I woke up from it and saw a shadow figure outside my window. At the start, I thought someone was messing with the power box when suddenly the shadow started phasing through the wall into my room. Being a child, I hid under my blanket and hoped that my parents would come and check over me from the other room. I felt it tugging at my blanket. No! And knocking on my bed. It was a bunk bed. So I just hid and tried not to cry. Oh no. That sounds terrible. Oh man. About 2 years ago, I was sleeping. In that dream, I saw the future. But in that dream, I saw how all my friends could get legs broken. What? After that, I was making sure that all of that suffering wouldn't happen. After a week, no one suffered. However, some things prevented me to sleep for the next day. That was Colin Alside. Interesting. One day, I was riding in my mom's car going back home. I had nothing to do, so I just stared at the window. We passed a light post. The light flickered on and off, just kidding, onto the window for a few moments. It was night, and I saw something that wasn't there before. A handprint. No! I tried to wipe it away, but even worse, it was from outside. No! It was from outside of the car, and I was studying the window the entire time, and it wasn't there before. Freaked out, I studied it closer. The thumbprint was slightly weird. What? The thumbprint was weirdly shaped, and 2 dots were drawn above it. Lol. It made a creepy smile. That actually, that's pretty funny, I'm not gonna lie. A sinister smile. Okay, maybe not so funny. Now I was terrified. I'm terrified too. Not thinking, I tore my gaze from the window, heart pounding. We arrived home, and I stole one last glance at the window. The handprint was smudged like someone tried to erase it. Frick no. I ran inside the next day. I studied the window. There was no handprint, no smudge, no trace of anything. Wow, that was some good writing. That's by Inchy with 2 Y's. Inchy. Hey, so I got a ghost story. This is Paige Campbell. It's actually kind of funny until things went wrong. I was 7 years old. I was having sleepover with my cousins, both 1 year older than me. The girls had a Ouija board. No. Okay, stop. Don't. And being naive children, we didn't see any problems using it as such an object. They lived in a small apartment building, and we were home alone with the bedroom door closed, so nobody was supervising us. We began. A ghost appeared not long after we started asking questions. We had a nice unopened box of Chips Ahoy, and all of a sudden in the middle of asking the question, the box flap opens. Ew, no. No windows or doors were open, so there was no source of wind anywhere. Ugh. We just laughed about it and moved on. At least until one of my cousins noticed a cookie was gone. We were weirded out by this a lot. Nobody had taken or eaten a cookie, and one just disappeared. We actually asked the ghost if they took a cookie, and they responded with a yes. Maybe one of your friends ate it. Just kidding. I mean, one of your cousins. Again, we didn't think much of it, and no harm was done. Afterwards, we asked its name. They didn't react to that, so we asked it if it was good or evil. No response again. Then the marker started to move, and we watched nervously as it spelled death. This made us panic. We were home alone, unsupervised children with nothing to protect us. The air tightened in the room, and we felt frozen. We said goodbye, and my aunt rid of the Ouija board after learning what happened. None of us saw the board again. Yeah, don't frickin' use that, man. Okay, just no. You guys are crazy. Alright. I think that's enough spooky stories for one day. I mean, there's a lot left, but it's like too much. I'm gonna like lose my voice by doing this. I'm gonna read the super chats and we're gonna go. So, Games of Green. I always see a spirit on Mondays that just comes close but doesn't hurt me. It always happens when I stay up past 9:30. That sounds like when your parents are like, you gotta go to bed early, you know, like something's gonna get you. That sounds like that kind of thing. That's cute. That's also really scary. So I get you. I feel you, man. Mario Sands. I do believe you. How do I send you my stories? I have one for my mission. Oh, I heard one from this one guy's mission where he got possessed, and he would like go to his companion's bedside, and the companion was like, "What are you doing, man?" And he had like a pillow with him, and he was like, he said something like, "Oh, I just came here, you know, to get a pillow back," or something like that. But he's not the one that like said it. And he like felt all these malicious intentions to like hurt his companion, and he had to get like exorcised and get that demon out of him. So that's freaking scary, man. LG Wavy says, hey, what you do for Halloween? Oh, I'm gonna dress up as Ryuko from Kill la Kill in her like street clothes. I have like a scissor blade as well. Maybe I'll take a picture and put it on Twitter. Jademations says, hi, I think I've been watching you since your FNAF vids, but you're cool. Say it's spooky month, please. It's spoopy month. Rook Silmain says, don't feel bad about the ad, you gotta eat too. Yeah, man, it's just an ad, you skip them, okay? You skip the ads. If you want to support me, you don't skip it. If you don't care, you freaking skip it. If other big YouTubers can do it, I can do it too, okay? Besides, I wouldn't put an ad like, that BetterHelp one. No. Sarah Golden says, your animation is amazing. I love your stories. I wish you the best. Keep being amazing. The wording in that was tricky. Drift says, shgurr, can you play with me on Fortnite? Maybe if I have time, I'll have to see. Wolfany Lone Wolf, what's up? Aiden Sanchez, what's up? AMCG says, I love you. I can binge your animations every day. You guys are too nice. Yeah, so that was the haunting hour. Thank you guys for watching, and I really need to do more live streams more often, but I guess this is pews or freaking pewds over T-Series any day. I love PewDiePie. But yeah, this is the end. So I just want to say goodbye, guys. Shout out for no reason? What? I hope you guys have a nice spoopy Halloween. I hope the live stream didn't lag. I didn't really check that. I'm so sorry if it lagged. I don't know. But yeah, time for me to go. See ya!